So this guest doesn't need any introduction.
Jesse who?
Isn't he probably the smartest? Look, he's already smart.
No. We had the smartest person on yesterday, and that was Billy.
Yes.
It's Billy.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. So we have Jesse Clarke, the smart guy from Clima that everyone knows, that wrote the moisture management book, which is a great resource. Is it now called the Blue Book? What's the difference between the Blue Book?
The Blue Book was a different concept. No, the Australia study was a residential focused guide on how to build a decent house. And the Blue Book was a whole bunch of construction systems that we had so many questions from the woofie users and people trying to invent different layers of construction systems, how you layer the insulation and the membranes, and people just want to do things different because they want to be clever. And you go, okay, if you're going to be clever, then you need to do a calculation and work out if it actually works.
Simple shit works, yeah.
Yeah, well, don't come back to us and
Simple
say, I've come up with
repeatable.
this.
Yeah.
Simple repeatable.
So
Simple
well,
repeatable.
that's it.
140 mil walls, Intello, Extasana. Can you go wrong?
Work out, yeah, well, that's right. Work out what works in your climate zone and then simple and repeatable.
Yeah.
Or as our sales manager or our GM in New Zealand would say, rinse, dry, repeat.
Yep. Rinse, dry.
Why don't
I
you
like
have
that.
that? You've got dry as a bone. Maybe that needs to go on the membrane. Rinse, dry, repeat.
Yeah,
It kind of works in two elements.
but
There we go.
most
Gus, the
people-
marketing communications, is sitting here smiling. We've just given him a bit of a tip.
So this whole study that we're talking about was I don't know, in the world that we operate in was a big deal, right? What was the genesis of it? Like, because I've heard all these sort of different stories about why you did it, and you did it in your own time and all
Which
that.
book?
The Australian study. Australian study.
Why did we do it? Because that's the ProClimate method. We go out there and we put a Australia study into every market that we go into before.
So there's a New Zealand one as well.
There is a New Zealand one, yeah. It's a little bit thinner, but yeah.
Yeah, and what is it? Just for those who haven't read it, what is this book? What is this research project that you
It's
did?
not a book. It's like a great resource.
The Australia study is an outline of how to build a house that is highly efficient but also healthy.
Yep.
And the focus on the building envelope, of course, envelope first, and weather tightness, one of the key aspects to that. Obviously, stop the water getting in. So, yeah, making sure that you've got all the details right. A lot about the hygrothermics, so temperature and humidity and how that flows through construction systems once you start to insulate those systems and make sure you don't entrap water vapour in the system, create high humidity, create conditions for mould growth.
Yeah.
And that varies across all climate regions in Australia. So obviously you need to have potentially different solutions. Everyone's looking for the silver bullet that works everywhere in Australia, but it's very difficult. Same problem in the US, very difficult to have one solution that works everywhere from the tropics down.
You've kind of got like a 90% silver bullet.
And we've got a 90% silver bullet, yeah, which is what you were alluding to. You use a vapour-permeable on the outside and a intelligent vapour control system on the inside.
Except the tropics.
Except the tropics, yeah. And the tropics are a bit special because their climate, there's not, you can't leave them out because that's,
It's rude to Queenslanders.
Political suicide. You need to, if you're going to be operating in Australia, you need to have a solution for everywhere. And that's what I said to the management. I said, we can't just ignore the tropics. We need to tell people what works.
Yep.
And this happens a lot in the regulatory space as well. It's like, yeah, but there's not that many people that live there, don't worry about it. But they're potentially a noisy minority, and you've got to address everything.
Well, they're a noisy minority, and I guess, like instinctively, if we're insulating and putting a building wrap on a home in the tropics, like my mind goes to there's probably a higher chance of mold growth in clothes, not so much trapped in the wall assemblies, but on things that are kind of around your home because you've got such a higher humidity in the building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, and that is 100% correct because there's in the tropics there's so much humidity outside. If you're going to air condition, you got to keep it outside.
Yep.
And in my personal experience, when going back a few years when we were visiting the Daintree and the tourist centre there, and obviously they had a bit of a problem because you walk in there and the first thing you smell is mould.
And it's musky.
And but someone in my field goes, yeah, okay, I know what it is, but most people it's just like,
Yeah, carry on.
that's what it is.
So you said at the start, what are we talking about? Now, Hamish and I don't really prepare much for each podcast. We actually just like to whoever comes in, we like to just listen to what they have to say and we will adapt the conversation. Now, you've been on a lot of podcasts, you do a lot of public speaking, you present. What is something that we don't talk about enough that you think we should be talking about? We're going to see where this takes us.
You can take as long as you want and we can edit out the pause.
No, let's keep the pause in because it shows that this is actually a natural conversation.
Or have you already solved all the problems?
I think what we don't talk about is, and this comes up a lot in the regulatory thinking space, which is the trajectory on where we're going and why. It's like, yeah, sure, what's the best possible building you can build? And it's like, okay, it looks like this. Is that where we need to be? And when do we need to be there?
When do we need to be there?
Do you know, that's a really interesting... I've never thought of that. Like, is there... And I'm doing this in my own business at the moment, right? So we're trying to plan for a year, 3 years, and then, well, what is it that we're working towards? You know, so we've got this 10-year goal, this ambitious 10-year goal, and we've actually started there and we're working our way back. And then breaking that down, you know, into quarterly little things that we're doing to reach this goal. Is there like this perfect idea of what a building should look like in Australia that you know of that we're trying to achieve?
But that's the great debate, right? What does that look like? And I don't want to get into the, you know...
What should it look like?
What does it look like to you?
I don't want to get into the passive house.
What does it look like? No, it doesn't have to be. What does it look like for you? What is a home that every Australian should be living in?
Jesse's the Prime Minister. What changes?
And take your pro clima off for a sec.
Like last time?
Yeah, but like
someone asked me that.
Yeah, but you have a vision. You have a very clear, you're very intelligent. You have the answers yourself. What would you start with? What would be the 50-year plan, 25-year goal, 10-year target? We've got him.
Well, no, I mean, it gets into that. Well, there's a lot of the big driver is carbon reduction.
Yep.
And, I mean, it's a little bit frustrating to me that there is so much emphasis on, you know, energy and carbon. I get it, it's important, but it's the health aspect and the reasons of, you know, what is the government there for? For the people?
I think I've said this
to make the population prosperous.
Well, I've said to Haim this morning. Like, obviously, the war's going on in Iran at the moment, and maybe I was a naive young as I was 30. But I think as you get older, you start to learn a little bit more about how the world actually operates, and the governments really aren't there to protect the people.
No, but in theory they are.
In theory, but
so what are they there for?
This is a really good deep conversation.
Well, someone needs to be sitting there. But you know what? I don't know. I don't know if we should go there. But you brought up carbon reduction, and I agree with. Well, maybe I do. Maybe I don't agree with you. I think that we probably should be focusing on how we're reducing our carbon, and it's the embodied carbon. It's a carbon that already exists in homes. It's the carbon that takes, you know, our operational carbon as well. What is it you're referring to when you're saying carbon reduction?
Well, it's everything, right?
Yeah, okay.
So that whole embodied carbon discussion versus the operational energy, and, you know, anywhere you use energy generally requires, well, we'll have a carbon output.
Carbon output, yep.
So reducing that is, you know, it's all grand, it's good. But then I spent years, you know, speaking about, you know, energy efficiency and trying to push energy efficiency, and then it was the other side of it, which we focus on Pro Clima, which is the moisture management, healthy buildings, and that was always labelled unintended consequence. I hate that term so much, unintended consequence. Like, it's something that's a consequence of this regulation we're making, but we don't really want to address it right now, or don't care about it because it's not important to the mandate we've been given.
Yeah, I mean, so what's going through my head right now is that I actually think about it the way that you think about it. I don't actually start at carbon reduction. I actually think about healthy home first. or a healthy building fabric first.
What is a healthy building? Because again, it's just another buzzword like sustainability.
Sorry. A building like if we're wrapping it with the ProClimate system, or you know what, insert any.
But just wrapping it with a ProClimate system isn't, because you see people just getting a weatherboard and nailing straight through again. And process.
Okay, let's for a second
product.
assume that people are following the right way to do it, right? Because what we're talking about right now is what does the perfect home look like that we should be living in? And we brought up carbon reduction
in 50 years.
In 50 years, right?
Well, hang on. So the carbon reduction, that wasn't saying, oh, it's a low carbon home, therefore it's perfect. That was just a big driver of a lot of the discussions that happen, and the energy efficiency in the building code. What's energy efficiency doing in the building code?
Can you expand on that? I'm keen to hear that.
The building code is there for the health and safety of the people.
Yeah, amenity. Yep.
What's energy got to do with health and safety?
Actually, it's a cost of living thing.
Or is it a cost of living thing, or is it the fact that you use energy to stay comfortable so that you stay healthy? So the comfort part is the health part, and then, well, hang on, but why energy? To reduce carbon? So it's actually protecting the future of the people, because if we put too much carbon into the atmosphere, then we create global warming, and then we can't grow crops anymore and everyone dies of hunger.
This is odd. It's like an aha moment, as you just said that.
Well, it's a question that comes up for the anti-lobby. Like, why have we got energy efficiency in the building code? And to some extent, I agree with them. Why do we have energy efficiency in the building code? Like,
if you want to go spend $2,000 a month heating your home, is that your choice? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you spend $2,000 a month. How do you do that? A month?
Yeah, if you just say
$2,000 a month heating your home, so that it stays within a comfortable range, so that you're staying healthy, because comfort is a proxy for health. If you stress yourself, you get unhealthy.
Yeah.
So you're spending $2,000 a month and you can afford that. Well, good on you. But you put in all this pollution into the atmosphere, which is actually affecting everyone else. It's
but
like
what if
passive smoking.
But what if they went all electric and had solar panels?
Well, that's the other thing, which is where its whole of home assessments is kind of going.
Yeah.
We can have a really poor built-in fabric and put a Band-Aid on top, which is a massive solar system. Happy days.
So you saying that we shouldn't be worrying about energy efficiency and start to, like, because the anti-lobby would say remove it. Are you also technically kind of agreeing, but on a different way of agreeing?
I'm saying that I can see their argument that why is energy efficiency in the building code?
And bet we should then expand on the health and amenities part.
And you expand on the health, emphasise the health and amenity, and back to what Hamish was saying, the Trojan horse, which comes in along with health, is a better building, which is low carbon.
Yep. So the outcome,
energy use.
There's these really nice outcomes of building a home that's sealed well, insulated well, ventilated well. That the nice outcomes are you use less energy to heat and cool it, which reduces the operational carbon, and then off the comfort, as you said, proxy to health. We've got this comfortable, healthy living environment, which also then leads to health. So I don't disagree that energy should get taken out. And more of a focus, yet agree with those guys, give them a win, and then let's just focus on building a better home.
And the results, because we all know if you follow building science, the byproduct is energy efficiency.
If you build it as a healthy home, so you're not stressing the people, but then you could argue that I'm just going to put a massive AC unit on the house, massive heating system, and I'm going to constantly be in that comfort range. I'm not going to stress the occupants because they're always in the 20 to 24 degree band.
Yeah.
And I've done it using a crap load of energy. Oh, but I've offset that using solar, so it's okay. I don't agree with it, because back to the discussion off the record that we're having yesterday about lean. Oh, what's this lean stuff, and being efficient and just using things efficiently and not wasting resources.
I thought you meant you telling me to lose weight originally.
The whole lean concept and what is lean, but that's the same thing. It's like, why would you put a 50 kilowatt air conditioner on and offset it with solar when you could do the same thing in a much smarter manner?
It's like the big houses that you see that, we've got $3 million budget and we've got a 150K hydronic heating system. We could build a passive house and save you some extra cash.
Yeah, and you don't need the hydronic system.
I mean, take passive house out of it.
I just use as reference.
Yep. I mean,
but that's the whole debate around what does the ideal house look like? Is it passive house? Is it passive solar? Is it a house on stilts where you don't have any air conditioning and we just live outdoors?
But
simpler life.
The times are changing where not everyone is going to be living in a house. We look to, say, Singapore, like especially in Sydney, you look to Hong Kong and Europe, everything one's in townhouses.
Mm-hmm.
Not in townhouses, apartments.
Yeah, yes, apartments.
Apartments, yeah. So everything goes vertical, but then you got the whole other debate over it, which is the urban sprawl and just wasting agricultural land on building houses.
Yeah, and I think that I look at my daughter who's 9 months old. The only way she's going to get a house is if I buy it for her or put away money for her now. Mm-hmm. There's no chance she buys a house. Like prices on average, they say double every 20 years, the housing. So my little crappy house I bought in a shit suburb, I pay, no one's buying that for $2 million. So I look at it and go, well, the answer has to be apartments. There's no other choice.
Yeah, density. You have to increase the urban density. But there's all these discussions that overlay on the top of each other.
Is that government getting in the way when you go back to the conversation of what do governments actually do?
So in terms of housing and planning and putting KPIs, I think we had a discussion a while back on the phone talking about the metrics or the targets they want to hit for new housing. And build that many houses at any cost. What was the number?
1.2 million houses in 5 years.
There you go, 1.2 million houses in 5 years. Do we want 1.2 million crappy houses or 1.2 million houses that we can point to and tell our children we're proud of those houses?
That's it. I tell you what, Hamish and I, that's our future retrofit market.
Yeah, correct. But we're also creating a job for our children, right?
Yep.
And that job for our children is to fix the crap. But that's back to...
Do you reckon that's considered? Do you reckon they go, so we have jobs in the future because construction is one of the biggest GDP or taxable incomes in especially Victoria. Do you reckon they actually think if we don't build them to that standard, we understand in the future we're going to be able to tax that set of trades, especially with AI coming in, is a pretty safe form of income?
I can't remember off the top of my head if that's been factored in, but yeah. So in 15 to 20 years, all these houses have to be retrofitted, and now we've created a massive market.
I know, but do you reckon because
I don't know.
It'd be so
I would like to think so. To have
not.
some faith in humanity is that's not the case.
Well, correct, because then you take the case of Scotland.
Yep.
That mandated
passive house.
Passive house.
Actually certified passive house.
Yeah, but saying that, well, what are we doing here? We're creating houses and places for people to live that are going to be outdated in 5 to 10 years. They're not going to be any good. So just build the best you know how to build. But the discussion we haven't landed on in Australia is what is the best, which is a question you asked me.
Do you think, and this is just a thought that's come to my mind, in Australia's pretty young, right? We've 300 years, 200 years? I don't know, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. You go to Europe and there are buildings there that have been there for thousands of years. They have always built things that have lasted.
Yeah.
Whereas Australia doesn't really have a history of building things that have lasted. Do you think that's this is like our kind of short-term housing solution? I'm going to call short-term housing solution. I'm going to label that volume build homes is just a product of just how young Australia is.
Possibly. I mean, we don't have those heritage buildings and everything, those old stone buildings sitting around apart from, inner city suburbs of some of the capital cities. And, we're not exposed to that whole historical culture.
Yeah.
I think we also think that, we don't get that extreme snow.
That's as well. But that's always the argument. We're not extreme here. We don't have, that's not our climate, therefore it doesn't matter. And it's easier to pass things off that.
I don't know if you can talk about this, but I know that you sit on, is it the ABCB board? Or
I'm on the ABCB committee.
What is some of the friction in there, and you don't just have to name names, of why they're not advancing the code quicker?
There's a lot of different points of view that need to be considered.
And do you have like a
and
spread
part
of
of that
states?
is well, part of that is if you do go too quick, you get market failure.
Yep.
If we said everyone has to build a house tomorrow
Yeah, okay.
at 0.6 air changes at 50 pascals, how many people would actually be able to comply with that?
So
how many people would just go, stuff it, doesn't matter because no one's doing it?
Do you
That's market
agree?
failure.
Do you agree to a point then to implement these changes slow and on some level agree with the freezing or the slower
I don't
adoption?
agree with the freezing. What they should be doing is telegraphing the changes well in advance, because this goes back to every time there's a new code update, all the states go, oh, yeah, we're going to adopt it in a year's time. They kick the can down the road every single time.
But that kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. There doesn't feel like there's this like what we're trying to achieve. There's not this sort of
10-year
pedestal home that we're all trying to get to.
Yeah, correct. You don't know, and there's a massive debate out there. I mean, and back to that, is Passive House the end game? Or is a really well designed solar passive house the end game? Who knows?
But should we put it? Sorry, I'm going to write end game because I feel like we're playing a video game here, because we shouldn't have an end game because technology will change and things will change.
Correct.
So it needs to be somewhat fluid. But
You know what? Sorry, I'm going to disagree with that. You can still have something you're working towards and it still change as new things come out.
Say
my 10-year target might be my 10-year target today, but it might change next week. But you still need something that you can then plan around. And that's the issue at the moment. There's nothing that we're working towards. There's nothing that we're working towards.
That's politics. Like they get 4 years terms, and it's all about the next election and next election and next election. That's the problem. That ultimately politics has become about the person and their reputation on the short term rather than a holistic long term view. And we had David on. So Dave came on, Liberal Shadow Minister in Victoria for building, and he just said and I kind of agreed. Just take the handbrakes off, and then let's then see what's going on and have a very long term view on things. Let's not actually just bring in things to win an election. Let's actually stop, think about what our future looks like, and then start.
Do you know what? I really enjoyed our conversation with Dave, and I'm sure by the time this comes out, people would have heard it. However, it is great to sit here and have a really good conversation with someone. But if
don't do it,
if Liberal do get voted in November, which is a pretty reasonably high chance that'll happen, what actually is going to happen when the rubber hits the road?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like, are they all the same?
I would love politicians if you say something to do it, and you could be legally held responsible.
Yeah.
Well, that's the question. Yeah, what will they do? What they said they were going to do?
But I think not going into politics, but I think if you want to go out there and say we're going to do something, you could be legally held responsible as a person for not being accountable to your decisions. Like a CEO, like Hamish and I with our clients, like you with ProClima.
You run the country. Is the country run like a business, or
run like nothing? So I want to go back to the codes and standards, because one thing that confuses me, and I kind of I understand why, but why should Jesse from ProClima be on the standards board? Because wouldn't Jesse from ProClima have ProClima's interests at heart? And the same as everyone else? Like, shouldn't they be independent people?
You always got to declare interests. You're meant to, because then if anything does come out, then it's like, oh, but hang on, you had investments here, investments there, and you were saying this, so...
But as an employee, you're not technically invested in... Well, you are as a person for your job, but from a monetary shareholder...
Yeah, so I would always declare saying I work for a building product supply company in weatherproofing membranes. So if anyone later comes along and say, oh, okay, I can see why you're saying that, or, if I was clearly trying to push something down that route, then...
And one thing ProClima are really good at is you do not shit can other products. Ever. Like, there's videos and photos you guys have shown me of other products failing, and you will not give them to me. Where some other companies would be quickly to jump onto that.
Just getting back to that, why Jesse sits on the board and why other people sit on the board. I think it's really important to have lots of different stakeholders.
I agree.
From all different facets of the building industry, if they're going to be making decisions on how we build homes, because you need that kind of balance of opinion on something, because someone over here from the steel industry might say something that sort of sparks something in your brain and go, oh, hang on, I actually get that. All right, that makes sense. Thanks for bringing that up. and vice versa. So I think it's important to actually be involved in a conversation where people are actually challenging what you think.
It's a cost thing. Like, it's not like they have the biggest budget to work with either. So like they rely on companies to do the R&D to then present, I'm assuming, as well.
The board,
the codes and standards.
Mainly through academic organisations, which may be supported by
and
companies.
And we spoke with Ariana yesterday, which will be a podcast episode. Do they have to
disclose where they got their funding?
Yeah.
Most of the time it probably is.
Yeah, okay.
If you read the research outputs.
Yeah, in the journal article or something.
And where it was funded or who supports it.
I think one thing that we didn't touch on before, Jesse, what is your background?
I'm an engineer.
Yeah.
So I did an undergraduate engineering degree at University of New South Wales. But I actually started off, that was in photovoltaics, so solar energy.
Yeah.
But don't ask me too much about solar energy because it was a long time ago.
Yeah. So engineering degree is quite broad.
It was more of an electrical engineering focused degree.
Yep.
If you wanted to.
So your degree is kind of totally relevant to where you've ended up.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Apart from if you put solar panels on the roof.
Did you do a PhD?
No.
No.
No PhD.
How did you learn?
Do you reckon the Australian study would be close enough to a PhD?
Well, that's what Clarence McAllister said. He said,
Yeah.
they should give you a PhD. I'm still waiting for one, but no one's.
Can you get
Frisbee wouldn't give me one.
Can you get an
He loves you though.
Can you get an honorary doctorate or anything like that?
You can get them. To be honest, I don't know what the process is. But
Yeah.
Dr. Jesse Clarke.
Dr. Jesse Clarke would just have this, I'm just imagining your emails when you send it through, or like on your shirt, Dr. Jesse Clarke.
Can you give me one from the Sustainable Builders Alliance?
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
So
an honorary doctorate, sure.
So I really want to head this codes and standards conversation still, because there must be some very robust discussions.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
yep, there is. Yeah,
I want to know the juicy goss.
Yeah. Well, in the standards committee process.
Yeah.
So standards committee it's a technical game of chess. That's what it is.
So you got to have a real long-term outlook.
Well, you've got to know what everyone's positions are, who they work for, and what they might be saying for whatever, as you talked about, reasons that they may or may not have disclosed.
So are you legally required to disclose things?
You're meant to be on a standards committee. The standards are there for the people of Australia.
Yeah,
I bring it up quite often. We're here for the people of Australia.
But you also have to pay a shitload of money to access the law with the standards.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything to do with Jesse though.
No, but the Australian standards are not easily accessible.
Yeah, sure.
You got to pay them. You got to pay for them. Yeah,
and a large amount.
You got to pay for the standards. Yes. And you're having a go at the whole
cost of
the cost of standards that are called up in the building code, and then if you bought every standard on
hundreds of thousands
at the front of the building code, you'd be broke. Yeah, and that's then why you end up getting experts to tell you, because they've actually read those and bought those standards.
But then or have they?
Well, maybe not. So, but anyway, on the standards committee, there's in my opinion, people should be there to make the standards better, and a lot of people are there to make the standards better, to make for the people of Australia. But there's also a lot of stalling tactics, and there's a lot of just keep everything the same sort of philosophy, because no change is good change.
What are you most proud of a standard that's changed?
What
are you most proud of a certain standard you've changed or had a major influence on change?
Well, I think going back to 2017 revision of the membrane standard, when opened up the categories of to vapor permeability completely. It's only coming through now, and we're talking almost 10 years later.
So that's how long it takes to make change.
That's how long it takes to change, to pull the lever, and then the market react.
So were you quite influential in the change from using perforated foil-backed sisolation to using a Class 4 membrane?
Yeah. So the standard that when they open up the categories to vapor permeability, obviously you can get that, achieve that target in terms of vapor permeability through perforating a membrane, perforating a piece of aluminium foil.
It's just so stupid.
So that then overlays with weatherproofing, and is a piece of perforated foil actually weathertight, which then comes back to a philosophical discussion around what's the hierarchy of design and what's the most important thing that we're using these membranes for. And, if you go through the building science and speak to and read and look at damages, it's always weather tightness. Number one, stop bulk water getting into the building. So at some point in history, and going back to, this is my interpretation of the membrane standard, it got put into the insulation committee. So what do insulation guys care about?
Insulation.
R values.
Yeah.
How do you get an R value?
Still air.
Still air and aluminium foil.
But technically, it doesn't actually. You can't get still air in a cavity. So it's impossible.
So you can't get still air in a cavity. The original research going all the way back to 1954, Housing Research paper number 32 out of the US.
Just know that off the top of your head.
Yeah, well, I've talked about it a lot. But that,
Sounds
and
like
I
a
also tried to
riveting
reverse
read.
engineer all their calcs, which was quite difficult. But that original research paper was a 3-inch cavity, and they did it on different slopes with still air. So looking at different angles and what the R value was. To some extent, still air for heat flow out is very important. For heat flow in, the ventilation or moving air can actually provide a benefit, even with an aluminium foil. It's reflective low emittance surfaces aren't all bad. It's just where do you put them that they don't create condensation and trap water vapor in your structure.
Interesting.
So I've got a few great ideas that I think some of the cladding suppliers should be using, but the question is, maybe it's not even possible, technically possible, I don't know.
Was this your 1.5 hour meeting this morning?
No, that was all our R&D projects for ProClima, so that's top secret stuff.
So what are you talking about?
You got that recording?
I think we set up the camera overnight. We need to have that meeting.
Camera in, yeah.
So some of the roof, like combining low emittance surfaces to reduce radiant heat flow. Radiant heat in summer in Australia can be intense.
Yep.
Off a hot metal cladding, but the way you've got to design buildings is not just blinkers on, we're designing for summer, or blinkers on, we're designing for winter, because you do create that unintended consequence in the other season. So you've got to think about both seasons and weighing them up together, in which case our approach at ProClima is to use vapour-permeable structures and use ventilation to remove heat rather than relying on low-emittance surfaces.
Yeah, interesting.
Although if you could plug a low-emittance surface into a ventilated system, you might be onto a really big winner.
Is that what the R&D meeting was?
No. But I don't think that should be incorporated into a membrane, for example.
Like a different
when you put it into a
membrane,
the membrane becomes a vapor barrier. So now where do you put the membrane without causing the membrane to completely disintegrate?
Or just put external insulation on.
External insulation, yeah. But then there's very hot claddings in direct sun. You can potentially manage radiant heat with low emittance surfaces.
I'm sitting here thinking about all of it, and like what I love about it is it's not just use ProClima products. It's like use ProClima products because we've thought about all of this other shit that's kind of creating issues in the first place. And even though by the sounds of things, you're not saying, I can't choose my words here, it doesn't sound like the ProClima product is quote unquote perfect because it doesn't have that low emittance surface on it.
So the holy grail would be to have a vapour-permeable aluminium foil.
Yeah.
Is that, you reckon that's something that people would be out there working on it, like science labs and stuff?
Well, I found it at one point. I found a porous aluminium that can be generated. They use in capacitors.
Just at home.
So only tiny little capacitors for electronic equipment.
Yeah. And then how do you put that on a huge sheet scale?
But then when we went and said, well, how much does it cost? It's like, okay, all right. If I was launching a spaceship into space, maybe I'd pay that. But
that's where it all starts, isn't it? A lot of these that's where it starts.
Yeah,
and
sure.
eventually it filters
But
down.
you guys going to pay $300 a metre squared for a membrane?
Well,
we already are, aren't we?
There's that too, but it also kind of raises the question for me, and I might be completely off the mark here, but what's the carbon inputs into producing a product like that?
Yeah, and that's a whole other thing. I have no idea in that context. It was more about technical performance properties. Can you make it? And yeah, sure, you can make anything. If we can send man to the moon, Can we? I don't know.
Did we?
If we can, yeah, did we? Conspiracy
It's
theories.
conspiracy
you wanna
match.
go into
I was
conspiracy
actually
theories
thinking
now?
about the other day because I've just finished. There's a new movie that's just come out called The Hail Mary Project.
I watched it, yeah.
So I've read the book, and it got me thinking.
Isn't the book written off the movie?
No, the book's first. Book's
I
first.
think it's smarter.
And I'm just like, fuck, I wonder if we did actually land on the moon.
We're not going to get conspiracy in that. Okay.
Hang on, let me just take my tinfoil hat off for a second. I'll just pop that under the table here.
I just want to jump back to the standards because I want to understand more how it works. Like, because you guys, is it like a bit of a court case and you've got a judge who then goes, this is now the rules, or how do you agree on what goes into...
It's a consensus, industry consensus.
So there might be
the
50,
standards
it's a vote.
as on a committee.
So is it...
You're talking about standards committee?
Yeah.
Yeah, so on a standards committee, there's a whole bunch of industry players or people that have a
seat at the table.
Well, a seat at the table. Mainly industry organisations, but it is industry organisations sitting around the table. And you get a vote, but it's a consensus. So it's a consensus. Standards are a consensus document. So industry consensus. So that means it represents what the industry thinks. I can write my own standard.
Full consensus or majority?
Majority consensus.
Yeah,
so just 51%.
I think it's more like 80 or something.
Oh, so it's yeah. And if you've got a really, that's why you say you got to play chess. You've got to get multiple people in the same camp as you into that conversation.
Yeah. So it's about what are you trying to achieve? Why are we doing this? There's always the cost discussion around, but if we do all this testing and we do this and we do that, it's going to put up the price of products and then you got to pay more. And it's like, we lose margin and,
again, if the conversation on losing margin shouldn't be...
But that's probably the underlying story. But that shouldn't be part of what's best for the people of Australia.
I'm going to go back to what I was saying before. Like, all of this sounds great, and I get it. Like, there's different stakeholders sitting at the table, and we've got good, sounds like we've got quite a heavy majority amount of people making the decisions. But what's the end goal? It still hasn't answered the question. Well, no, it's not a question. It's not a question for you to answer. But like, what is this ultimate, perfect home that we should be living in? Because without that, I can't understand how people can sit around the table and make decisions.
Yeah, and so what's the perfect home look like? But which then feeds down to do the products I need to build that perfect home look like?
It's principles, not products.
Well, but you still need a product. You can't build a house on principles.
And I know, I understand that it goes back to...
You do. Isn't there 5 principles for passive house?
Yeah, but the principles don't build you a house.
No, but what I'm saying here is like, I could get the best system from you guys for the sense of like, I can go put my Mento wrap on my roof, my access on the wall. But if I just get my nail gun out with my weather balls and start nailing through it, the product's not doing anything with no cavity batten. I understand it's a system, but... It's why I say principles out-trump systems, out-trump products. I can make your product fail if I want to.
Yeah, sure. But you need to develop products that you can use to build a house.
100%. So
you can't just have a imaginary built-in envelope and keep yourself dry, right?
But this again, you're probably starting to answer the question: what does the perfect house look like?
As I was going to ask
and it includes good building wrap, ventilator cavity, properly installed cladding, following a system, well insulated, airtight, ventilation.
like, how would you build your house?
Take it right back to the fundamentals, which is why do we live in houses?
Or what is a house for?
Just to separate us from the inside to outside.
Yeah, but it's shelter, right?
Yeah,
shelter.
yeah.
No, it's shelter. It's basic shelter. So number one, stop the rain falling on our head. How many houses in Australia leak water?
It's the biggest insurance claim.
Old. Yeah, new and old, because we get big storms coming through Sydney, and every single house where I live has leaks.
But that's normal. I don't know, you get a few leaks in a house.
We're talking inner city Sydney where the house is 100 plus years old.
Yeah.
But even a new build, it's normal. It's it's leaking.
Yeah, don't worry, you'll get a few. It's okay.
Yeah,
Nothing's going to happen.
Oh, that's normal. Yeah. Okay. So where are we?
I'm horrified whenever I get that phone call.
But we don't. I don't anymore because, this is a frustration of mine, and it's my own opinion here, is I see people going in, wrapping their walls in Pro-Clima. It's quite good. Start with Mento first. Just start there. Yeah. That is to me more important product than getting your roof right. than getting your walls to start with.
Yeah. So stop it's your security blanket.
Yeah. Start there.
It's or what I say, it's an insurance policy, right?
Yeah.
But when you buy an insurance policy, you don't buy the $1 insurance policy. You spend a little bit more. So when you go and you're going on a trip overseas, you get the good quality stuff. So if you knock out all your teeth, you know that they're going to actually help you.
Unlike private health insurance in Australia now.
So you buy the good insurance policy. So basically, ProClima is an insurance policy, and I'm an insurance salesman, and we sell you high quality insurance.
Yep. You know, there's the topic
assurance,
of there's the I like that. Yeah, you are an assurance salesman.
An assurance salesman.
But it's I look at these people, and there's this massive trend through social media, like we're using ProClima on the walls. To me, it's a low hanging fruit. That's the cost change isn't in the actual membrane. It's the extra cost in the tape, and it shouldn't. If we compare from the average standard industry wrap, there shouldn't be a cent difference to install your product the way it is meant to be installed, because the problem is we take the baseline of installing a product incorrectly is what is normal.
Yeah. The question is, does the baseline work?
No, but the issue is like we see performance as, we see a house failing as like the industry baseline. That's the problem.
Yeah, so what you're telling me is the baseline doesn't work.
No, I think, and maybe again we're in the bubble, I think, well, surely even politicians understand it's not working, because if it was working, we wouldn't have a standards and codes committee.
Yeah, and then there's an argument, why do we keep increasing the code? It's good enough. Just build what we got.
But but the thing is, we wouldn't have a minister in building if it was working.
There's an unsaid acknowledgement that it's not good enough if there's a committee and that you're constantly iterating.
But being part of a developed country, or move into highly developed, or extremely highly developed country, and you see the difference, those people that have travelled between countries that are highly developed and
And you've lived in Germany for a while.
And I've been there a lot. I wouldn't say live.
Every time I call you in Germany.
Yeah. So that's Germany, but yeah, the Nordic countries as well, and you see a difference in the way they do everything.
Well, we're seeing that right now with geopolitics and how set up Norway and all these other countries have kind of got it sorted, and everyone's like, but what's the catch? And it's like, no, it works.
Yeah, because they've worked it out. Yeah,
so
years and years of debate. But the question is, do you want to get better or not? And both you guys want to get better, right? So you're working on the 1% better every day theory.
I don't know.
And do we not treat these code and standard the same way?
Well, I actually don't know if I'm working to get... This is a really good conversation, because I've never thought, am I working to build better? I think that we do an amazing job of what we do, and do I need to worry about building better myself? Probably not. I think, again, simple shit works and I've got the solutions. What I'm more interested in is getting others to build better. Like, I think we build better now.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I think that every home that we build, we're learning stuff on.
Yeah, and I always say one of the worst homes is our most recent home we just finished, because the next home should be better.
Correct. So that's what I mean. Constant development.
Constantly having conversations with my site team saying, hey, that works. Let's do this next time, because of X, Y, and Z. That we think there's a better solution.
That's true.
Yep. But once that's a bit like you're talking about just the walls, and hang on, you haven't addressed the roof, but you start somewhere, right?
I was going to bring that up. I was going to bring it up.
You started somewhere, so that next build's better, the next build's better, and they go, well, hang on, I've got the wall wrap on, but that window junction, how do we deal with that? Because we can do better.
I've used this example before on the podcast, but it was a while ago, so I'll bring it up again. So 2 or 3 years ago, we did an extension to our old house, and before that, I had done a smaller extension where I had wrapped this little pop-out where a bathroom was with aluminium foil, and then literally screwed metal cladding straight into the studs.
We've all done it.
And as I was undoing this section where the connection was between the house, I literally peeled a bit off, and I think I called one of my team and go, hey, look at this. This is how we used to do it. And I think that's okay, because it's this really great juxtaposition between I've got this SIP structure sort of sitting up here now that we're going to wrap really well and put really good windows in it, and this is how we used to do it. And this is like this, literally, my old home is the evolution of my building journey of how far we've come from here to here. And I think it's a good thing.
And we might look as if we're level 100 on what we do, but we were once level one. We originally once had to go, let's make change.
How long has it taken you to, like you're talking about what time period there?
So we bought that house in 2013, and then I reckon in 2015 we did a little extension, and then during that time, I think we started using building wraps in 2018 when I first did the passive house course. I ended up buying some Pro Clima product from Burkhard. It was branded with panel light or carbon light or whatever it was, and then I guess from there we just iterated, and then next minute we're like that's just what we do.
So the whole thing, the whole transition is a generational transition.
Yep.
So you've been building for 20 years?
Yeah, I've been in the industry about 21 years,
20 years.
When I was 20. So I'm there 16 years.
16 years, yeah. So 16 years, I guess Pro Clima, sort of coming into the market, and you've found Pro Clima in the early-ish days, so, not as early as Justin O'Connor, but
no.
But the thing is, people have to find us, and then they have to understand, and then they have to implement, and that going through that sequence of I use Pro Clima tape, that's amazing. Oh, okay. Oh, what's their wraps like? Oh, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, the wall wrap. Oh, okay, hang on. What about the roof wraps? Oh, how do I do it? What's that weird roof system you're doing? Oh, yeah, I'll do that too. And then eventually you get to that point. But that's 10-year journey. And for even, each builder.
And even looking around now, like we've got all these sort of props and stands displays around us now, and I'm kind of looking at this picture behind Matt. Right, that wasn't available for me to look at when I first started. Well, I couldn't find it readily available.
You had the German version.
Well, we had the German version. But even, a really great example of what's behind us now, this is you iterating and getting better and finding solutions to problems that exist in the market.
So we go back to change.
No, you don't want to know the list of problems I got.
Well, but this is great to hear, though, because it kind of, again, it circles back to this, question I keep asking before. What is the perfect home? Or what? And when I say home, it could be apartment, could be townhouse, could be, one bedroom granny flat that's in your home. What does that look like? So everyone can go in there every single night, go to sleep and feel safe.
And it's not a one solution fits all.
I agree.
Because you build in a city, Melbourne, are you building out in the sticks? Have you got overlays of all sorts of other issues? Have you got bushfire issues?
All of that.
Don't you have bushfire issues?
But we go back to time. Yeah, we'll go back to time and we see how much can change when you said in 16 years. So quickly done a quick Google here. So in 2016, 2010, which is we take back that time, that is when the iPhone 4 is out. We're at iPhone 18 now. So we've seen how much change has happened in a little thing we have in our pockets from that time. And we can see how much life can change. I think that's probably a good... And we look at Apple, they're going to continue to make your phone better. So it kind of goes back into the building industry. Like, I assume you guys aren't going to be any different.
Well, we'll keep hopefully bringing stuff out. That's what I would like to do, bring new stuff out regular basis.
What would you want to see next? Maybe get R&D.
You really want to know the R&D pipeline?
We're so good at keeping tight lips.
We're going to wrap it up. So at the end of every podcast, we have this little segment called the MEGT Mindful Moment, and it's where we kind of think back of some of the topics that we've talked about and try and then kind of direct it and put a light on apprentices and trainees and all that kind of stuff that coming through the industry. And there's a couple of kind of running themes that I've picked up on as we've been having this conversation, and it's about this sort of iterative improvement. And I think everyone really needs to think about that. You've come from arguably a university degree that maybe you're not using anymore, and now you're sitting on the board of the standards boards. Matt is
talking to an original apprentice carpenter.
I just used an example before of like a timeline of when I was renovating my home. Like, we don't get it perfect the first time, but I think what I want to kind of stress right now and get apprentices to think about is it is okay to try, fail, learn, trial, fail, learn, trial, fail, learn, because you're only going to get better and better and better. And just use that failure as an opportunity to improve.
I 100% agree. Now, Jesse, thank you for everything you've probably done for us, because I don't think you understand the amount that you've taught us indirectly. Your moisture management guide if you're a young kid, it can be a bit of a tough read to start with.
Upload it into chat and
create a
upload
podcast.
it into chat and then you know.
No, but I've written
Look
here.
at the pictures in the back.
But I've actually said,
look at
like,
the pictures,
you can now upload this and turn it into an audiobook.
Yeah.
Sit and listen to it in the car. Honestly,
Actually, I remember Sean from Tassie Builders blog gave me this PDF reader at the time, and this is before LLMs came out, and I'm just like, great, download into chat, ask it questions.
Yeah, but like it's a great, like, for the, not just on behalf of us, but the future of building. I wonder one day if you sit back and you go like, geez, I actually made a huge amount of change, and you're going to actually go, shit, like it started with me, because it did.
Yeah,
There was a lot of people involved.
Yeah. You've had
of course.
you've had a really positive influence on, I guess, the future of building in Australia. So you know what, you don't have to say thank you, don't have to do anything, but I'm going to say thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for
Thank you, Jesse.
thanks for joining us.